Okay, so I have here started a test in some FX6 files, shot all in high definition, just to do the check between the FX6 Super 35 and all the other high definition modes compared to the FS7 sensor. So we're starting with our shot. This is the actual full shot that you can see here. I'll just go fit. So this is the full shot. And we're just gonna get stuck into it. First shot that we're gonna look at is the high definition from the FX6 shot in full frame. And let's go into 100%. And so this is essentially the best high def image that you can record in camera on the FX6. Now moving on, we have the high definition that's coming out of the clear image zoom at 1.5 times. There's definitely a reduction in quality that you can see here in the middle, and the resolution both on the horizontal and the vertical axes is substantially reduced even in here compared to the full frame. Clear image zoom and high definition doesn't do the picture quality any favors whatsoever. It does reduce the quality quite substantially. And let's move on to clear image zoom 2, which is the maximum setting of the camera. It's so blurry that all the details lost. It's really surprising. I wasn't expecting it to be this bad. So clear image zoom is really not that great of a feature. Yeah, this is, I'd say that this is unusable. I mean, yes, probably in an emergency, but it's so bad, it's really, really terrible. Now, moving on, we've got so this is the full frame HD, and then we have the Super 35 scan of the sensor. You'd expect it to be like close to the clear image zoom 1.5 because the sensor scan size is roughly the same, but it is surprisingly quite better. So the Super 35 scan of the FX6 sensor is really, really good. And it does have a big difference to the clear image zoom 1.5. Although it is almost the same scan size of the sensor, when you change the sensor scan from in the menu to a Super 35 scan, it has substantially better quality. So this is a Super 35 scan of the sensor of the FX6, and I'll just compare it to the full frame, where you can see the benefits of the super sampling of the full frame sensor and how they affect the resolution. They're not massive, but they are there. So mainly see on the vertical side of the resolution, this is the full frame resolution, and this is the Super 35. The differences are not that big, as you can see here. Now, in order to compare that with a native Super 35 sensor like the one in the FS7, I show also the FS7 on the same test chart. And now let's punch into this and do a bit of a comparison. The contrast is obviously different because it's a different gamma curve. There's a whole lot of different things. I'm not just looking at the picture quality and whole. I'm just looking at the resolution here, and you can see the FS7 in Super 35 mode. It is quite clean, as you'd expect, compared to the full frame of the FX6. This is the FS7 Super 35 recording. It is quite clean. You can see on the vertical resolution axis, this is really clean compared to the full frame of the FX6. There are differences on the horizontal axis. You can see over here, and the vertical axis. The FX6 has a bit more resolution. It's not, again, it's not a massive difference, because remember, this is recorded in high definition, so we're not getting the full resolution from the sensor here. We are getting quite a big downscale from the full sensor resolution. But what was mainly interesting for me to see was how does the high definition on the FX6 Super 35 crop of the sensor, how did that stack up with the FS7 sensor. And here we have that result, which for me is the most interesting of all, because that's where you compare putting a Super 35 lens on the FS7 or putting the same lens on the FX6 and shooting in high def. So we can see there's quite a bit of moire here, bit of aliasing, yep, happening. Whereas the FS7 has a bit of a cleaner image overall, which is obviously because of the FS7 having it's oversampling a 4K sensor, whereas the FX6 at Super 35 is just a 1:1 pixel readout when it's recording high def. You can see the horizontal resolution up here. It does look like on the horizontal resolution side of things that the FX6 on the Super 35 readout has slightly bigger resolution, slightly higher resolution. You can see there's a bit of resolution here, whereas the FS7, it's all gone. On the vertical resolution side of things, the FX6 does struggle a bit. FS7 seems a bit cleaner. If we get to the diagonal lines, there is a bit more distortion happening on the FX6, whereas the FS7 with its oversampling of the 4K sensor manages to get a few more smoother lines here. And let's go on to the left side here, where we have this nice pattern of lines that come closer to each other. And there you see a big difference between the FX6 and how much the FS7's oversampling of the 4K sensor helps. You can see that the lines here just go all the way down. They're all nice and even, whereas in the FX6, there is quite a bit of aliasing happening here, and it's quite confused in these horizontal lines, whereas the FS7 is quite clear now.